Journey into the dark side of the soul. Into the nightmare world of Mafia hitmen. Learn the secret to violent madness as you probe the minds of the killers from the underworld. They may be international syndicates or inner-city street gangs. Their criminal activities can range from drug smuggling to white-collar scams. But regardless of the illicit enterprise culture or sphere of power, the chief currency of all underworld empires is death. For the history of organized crime is a history soaked in blood. A blood-drenched tide is rising. Violence and death flood our cities. The homicide rate is escalating, for killers walk among us. They look like anyone: professional assassins, sexual sadists, nomadic serial killers. Chances are you may meet one someday.
You could pass a psychopathic person on the street, even a killer, and not really know it. Although I have met some psychopathic killers who've killed a lot of people, who have that so-called reptilian stare, where there's a cold iciness that you feel when you sit with them because you know that there's just nothing there. Many of them, particularly more sophisticated ones, can put on a chameleon-like exterior, which is superficially glib, engaging and charming, disarming everyday people from realizing what they're sitting with.
Psychologist Chris Monhandy is a criminal profiler for the Los Angeles Police Department.
The people that I've talked to that are of this psychopathic killer variety, when they relay their stories of the details of their crimes and how they killed people, hunted people, and harmed people, there is not one bit of remorse in the hardened ones that I've talked with, the ones that have made a repetitive venture of hunting and killing people. When you talk with them about the killing, it's as if they're talking about what they had for dinner the night before.
John Yarborough is a criminal profiler. He uses psychology to build personality profiles of possible suspects. His specialty, the sex murderer.
And I don't mean to create panic in anybody, but the reality is there are these sexual predators that no endless amount of incarceration is going to deter. They are going to do this.
University of California neuroscientist Adrian Rain is probing the brains of violent criminals.
This is an MRI which shows that the brain of a violent individual, we can literally cut inside the brains of violent offenders using this technique. It's non-invasive, there's no pain or anything like that, but it's a technique which allows us to look with exquisite detail at the structure of the brain of the violent offender.
Probe inside the brain of a killer. Psychoanalyze the mind of a sex murderer. Years ago, this would be absurd. No longer. Today, researchers and criminologists are at the threshold of answering questions that have long tormented society. Why are we the only animal who finds joy in torturing and killing our own kind? What forces transform a person into a lord of death? What motivates their violent madness? Who are the killers who walk among us?
We can get people who, to the extreme, are cunning, clever, manipulative, they're very charismatic, but they don't care an iota about the victims. They have no empathy for the victims, they have no remorse for the crimes they've committed, and they're motivated by thrill. And that's the classic psychopath.
They'll usually look at everyday citizen as just kind of this inert, neutral, they would look at them as the sheep that are out there that are pawns in their war against the system.
Their fury has reached our neighborhoods and homes. Drive-by shootings, home invasions. In the ultra-violent new world of organized crime, everyone is vulnerable.
In the old days, if two of us beat up one of you, you and your group could or could not retaliate. It was pretty much an option for you. But if two of us shoot and kill one of yours, the demand character of that situation is such that you are almost bound and determined, somebody in your group, to try and repay that event, to fire back at some point. Maybe not successfully, but the requirement to do so is much greater than it used to be. So the homicide cycles on itself. Didn't used to be the case.
Well, it didn't get violent until the 80s. Well, I can tell you, I came into this detail in 1972, and it was violent then. The difference is they had junk guns in those days. They didn't have necessarily good guns. Sawed-off shotguns and 22s, where now they all have excellent weaponry. The new 9mm or 380 tends to be their favorite weapon, and you put a lot of bullets in the air with one of those.
All of a sudden now y'all is into it because of the drugs. You know, now either he want to kill you or you want to kill him. Either it's behind he want to jack you, or he want this neighborhood, or you want the neighborhood. So everybody want to be Scarface. Crips killing Crips, Crips killing Bloods, Bloods killing Bloods, Bloods killing Crips. The thing just went haywire. The drugs came in and had everybody going crazy. It's all negative.
Gangland murder has evolved into mafia terrorism. Our homes are stormed, our families brutalized by ethnic gangs who live by the code of death.
Well, within the Chinese gangs and the Vietnamese gangs, for that matter, home invasions are a commonplace. The first thing they do when they burst into a home, if the head of the family, the male person, is present, they shoot that person in the leg. Another technique they use, if a very small child, preferably a baby, is present, they take the baby. No! No! And they tape it to the wall using electrical duct tape. They then take their weapon and they fire shots around the wall. A bit like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. A little bit more dangerous.
The wholesale slaughter by today's gangbangers is far different than how the Mafia once fulfilled their bloodlust. Lucky Luciano once boasted that the mob only kills each other. Killing outside the ranks of organized crime would only bring down the heat, they reasoned. Politicians, public servants, the average citizen, they were all off limits to mob hitmen. The transformation of the Mafia into an organization with enforcement rules, recruitment procedures, and a managerial hierarchy occurred when the fabric of America was undergoing a major alteration. It was the industrial age. A fresh breeze whistled through the skyscrapers of American business. New theories on labor productivity and management were picking up steam. Mom-and-pop stores and shops fell victim to the consolidation and growth of national firms. A new species of American was born, the corporate man, the loyal worker who rose to prominence by simply following orders. It's been said organized crime is a twisted image of the society it preys on. And mob kingpins were quick to embrace the new business ideas of specialization, marketing, and merging. Godfathers Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky consolidated the mob into a national syndicate. They decided to market one of their principal resources, mob gunmen, masters at killing and torture. The enterprise was called Murder Incorporated. The business plan was simple. Acquire an elite stable of killers whose job description was Mafia hitman. Any crime group associated with a syndicate could purchase the services of Murder Incorporated. The reigning godfathers must approve all killings. Payment would always be made before the murder was completed. After the job was done, the hitmen would receive a new assignment. For years there had been rumors of such an operation, but most refused to believe that a death squad could be working in America. But in 1939, disbelief was shot full of holes when one of Murder Incorporated's top enforcers took the stand. It was a murder trial of a mob killer. A highly placed enforcer called Kid Twist had turned informant. Abe Relis's testimony opened the public's eye to the evil that was Murder Incorporated. Mobsters were not pleased.
You open your mouth and you're a dead man, kid. I swear I'll bleed myself. All right. You're squealing, you're dead.
Mafia bosses enact their codes, achieve goals, and maintain control through enforcers, wise guys who take care of contracts. In the 1930s, they were called the Muscle. When Murder Incorporated was established, mob muscle became a business. Never in the history of crime had murder become such an organized enterprise as it did with Murder Incorporated. Kid Twist knew where all the bodies were buried. He told of hundreds of killings by mob enforcers, fingering godfathers like Lucky Luciano and sadistic gunman Frank Abandando. For the first time, the deadly language of the mob was heard. Orders for killings were contracts, hits were murders, and the victim was always known as the bum.
For the record, Your Honor, the witnesses pointed out the defendant, Mr. Frank Abandando, also known as the Dasher. Now, according to your testimony, Mr. Relis, Mr. Abandondo's committed over 45 murders. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Dasher was always busy. He may have even knocked out more. He was getting contracts all the time. He loved his job.
Where would you and the Dasher receive your orders, your contracts?
All of us guys hung around Midnight Roses. You know the place, the candy store in Brooklyn? Roses where we got our orders. We went all over the country. Now, the boss only gave us contracts to places we've never been before. And that was the beauty of the operation. We go into some town, we hit the bum, and then we take the next train out. Cops always look for a motive, but with an unknown killer, there was none. Guys were coming and going all the time. We were doing hits or dumping bodies. Guys like Michael Capone, Trigger Mike, we called him. He had his wife murdered in a hospital bed after she gave birth. He felt bad, though. Always wished he had done the hit himself. Happy Malone. Called him Happy. He's always laughing and giggling every time he's killing someone. Vito Guarini. He kept his tune by shooting the heads off chickens. So we called him Chicken Head. Pittsburgh Phil. Called him Pep. He held the top score for kills. Over 60. Yeah, those guys were the best in the country. Cream of the crop.
And this organization, Murder Incorporated, whose idea was it?
All the bosses had their hands in it. But it was Louis Lepke and Luciano's idea. You see, Lucky got where he is by killing people. And Lepke, well, he just liked to hurt people too. Yeah, Murder Inc. was their baby, all right.
Louis Lepke and the formidable Luciano cultivated a charming, sophisticated image. In reality, Luciano and Lepke's first solution to any problem was violent aggression. The decision to push the power of mafia families by establishing Murder Incorporated was instinctive for men who, under the skin, were pure psychopaths.
Now, what typically will happen is in these families, you'll have kind of a leader, you'll definitely have a leader, a person who is often charismatic, very psychopathic, meaning that they have little or no regard for social rules and established norms of conduct that go on in society at large, the laws. They have no regard for the laws, but they create their own belief system and norms within their group and this charismatic, psychopathically inclined leader will spot people for different roles within the organization. So it's a subculture that condones violence, and it's a subculture in which you have a charismatic, psychopathic leader who will resourcefully identify those that are even more inclined towards violence to use those people for service of the group.
And then Pep...
Abe Rellis's testimony was the first time in gangland history a top mobster told all, and Kid Twist told it in gruesome detail.
With him. He was dead already. We then took the bum down to the river.
All right, thank you very much. That'll be plenty. Thank you. Mr. Rellis, are all the killings for Murder Incorporated this brutal?
Nah, some are straight pops. Nailed a bum between the eyes. That's a sign of a pro hit. Most guys have shot him in the back. It was easier that way. Some put the bum on his knees and then point-blank range. I like that. I take my gun out real slowly, walk behind them as they're crying and begging, saying their last breath, Hail Mary, full of grace. I like that. It's the least I can do for the bum, huh?
Yeah. Returning to the murder now. Why was Whitey treated so harshly? Did Luciano order it?
Nah. He didn't have to. Bum was a rat. Everybody knew that. We just wanted to send a message. And we do that in various ways. It depends on the guy's taste.
Is this the weapon?
Yeah. You see, with that murder, we had plenty of time. We found him hiding in the back room of the garage, so we kind of used everything we had, for practice. Pep and I put him down first. I used my whatchamacallit, Garrett. Pep made it special for me. But Whitey, he wouldn't shut up. Just kept going on and on. So Happy hit him with the meat cleaver, right here. The guy misses. I had to call in Pep to hold the guy. Takes another crack and hits it with the meat cleaver right here. Best way to slice into the brain. That shut him up. Pep was pulling and he couldn't get it out. He was yelling, "Hey, you putz, give me my axe." The putz got a headlock on my axe. Seemed comical at the time.
Mr. Rellis, do you recognize this implement?
Yeah, that's the ice pick used on Whitey.
And was the victim dead at the time?
He was making noise. I don't know if he was dead. I mean, he could have been dead. He should have been dead. I thought he was dead. He looked dead. I thought he was dead. I don't know. They should have made sure of that, though.
I would like to submit, Your Honor, as evidence to the court, the coroner's report, very clearly stating that there were over 60 puncture wounds in the victim's body.
Like I said before, Dasher liked his work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rellis. That'll be all. Your Honor, after the noon recess, I would like to recall Mr. Abendando to the stand to continue my cross-examination.
The bloodthirsty mafia families of the U.S. are not unique. All the world's crime lords employ teams of executioners who carry out their deadly orders. Similar to the scent left by an animal, organized crime lays down territorial boundaries and markers through the use of deadly IDs. To experts, these tracks are as recognizable as a bloody footprint. The Chinese triads of Southeast Asia are one of the oldest crime organizations in the world. In the 16th century, they were monks cloistered behind shrines and temples. Today, the triads are the most elusive of underground syndicates. The once sacred vows have been perverted into rituals of blood and death.
I shall not disclose the secrets of the family, not even to my parents, brothers, or wife. I shall never disclose the secrets for money. I will be killed by myriads of swords if I do so.
An initiation ritual consists of making a tea that has been mixed with the blood of a chicken. Whether it is prostitution, rackets, or drug smuggling, the triads use violence and fear to enforce their scope of influence. If you cross their paths, you will learn the triads are murderers in business suits. Triad executioners are trained butchers of human flesh. The traditional murdering tool is a weapon similar to a meat cleaver.
This is a typical triad fighting implement right here. This is a sort of well, it's a food chopper. And the triads actually fight with these. And they undertake what's called a chopping, where they attack people and they hack them with these things. These are razor sharp. In places like Hong Kong, it's very difficult to get hold of a firearm. So violence with a firearm is not so frequent. So that's why we see resorting to these kind of traditional weapons.
Chopping is for the lower ranks of killers. A technique called death by 1,000 cuts is reserved for master assassins. Wielding the razor-sharp cleaver, they slice off long strips of flesh. Killers are careful to make shallow cuts. The killers attempt to keep the victim alive while administering 1,000 cuts. They rarely succeed. The Russian mob is one of the newest members of the international underworld. Russian mobsters were once street thugs running black market operations.
Russians are different in that they kill people and they're not as sophisticated about it, but they also do a lot of torturing of people before they kill them.
During the Stalin era, the most ruthless of Russian criminals were banished to the Siberian prison system. Inside the freezing hell of the Gulag, the Russian Mafia began to form. They adopted a killing technique tailored to the grueling prison conditions and their own primitive barbarity. A crushing blow to the head is a killing sign of the Russian Mafia. Once a wooden club was used. Now a common baseball bat is their trademark weapon. For over 3 decades, the Mexican Mafia has left a blood-stained trail. Mexican drug lords' bloodlust is often coupled to a morbid sense of humor.
Carrillo took in 93 and 94 to killing people where he wanted the bodies found and tying them with yellow ribbons as a message. Gradually, Amato progressed. He apparently owned the only tiger in Juarez. There's a history among drug guys of liking to own big predators. In 96, the tiger escaped actually and ran around in the streets there. Was captured and sent to Ciudad Chihuahua, the capital, to be placed in that zoo. About that time, drug killings started appearing where the people would be dead, executed, hands tied, shot through the head, but would be delicately draped with these cheap tapestries with tigers on them. If you're found in this fashion, it's to send a message. It's a form of policing.
The Yakuza of Japan trace their roots to samurai warriors. Today, even with availability of guns, swords and daggers remain the weapon of choice for Yakuza assassins. The most skilled of killers are highly tattooed and often are missing fingers.
The Yakuza and Asian gangs generally are renowned for being very deadly and having no hesitation in killing people to further their aims.
From Jamaica came one of the most sadistic gangs to ever reap their deadly harvest on American shores. The Jamaican posses are thrill killers whose blood scent is torture and slaughter. These savage island killers first shoot the elbows and knees of the victim before pumping the body full of holes.
The professional killer, the quote-unquote contract killer, is going to be a highly organized offender. There's been a long socialization process for this person to get them over the hump as far as right versus wrong killing and to turn it into a business issue. For ordinary people out there in America who have been socialized that thou shalt not kill, it seems foreign. But I think everybody can think of circumstances under which they may kill, such as, if my children are being threatened, I will do what I have to do to protect them. If our country is at war and we have to protect ourselves and our interests, that's okay. It's not good, but it's accepted. Well, you take that out a few notches, and that's where you have the development of a culture, a subculture, that accepts violence as a way of solving problems.
Despite the best efforts of law enforcement, gang-related homicides in many U.S. cities average one murder every day. It's even higher in the city that was the home to America's first Lords of Death. It was in New Orleans in the early 1800s when the Black Hand Society brought a bloody brand of Sicilian thievery to America.
New Orleans was the first American city that the Sicilian Mafia began to inhabit. And long before New York or Chicago or any other, they were attracted to New Orleans and to the state of Louisiana because it resembled somewhat Sicily. And so they came here in droves, and by the turn of the century, we're talking about by 1900, there were about 100 mafiosi in New Orleans.
The Black Hand earned their livelihood through extorting money from New Orleans shops and dockside businesses. They then spread to other cities, New York, Chicago. They extorted money not by the traditional forms of intimidation, such as threats, wrecked shops, or broken bones. The Black Hand's technique was simple: pay or you die. The ability to kill without hesitation gave the Black Hand a reputation that paralyzed society with fear. They would send letters that would have symbols of skull and crossbones, the outline of a hand, and the wording was always direct and to the point. Sometimes these messages were very polite, but they were all death warrants. You pay or you die.
You got us some cash? I need $1,000. Place it at the $100 bills in an envelope and place it underneath the board in the northeast corner of a 5th and a Broad Street. If you place the money there and you still live. If you don't, you die. If you report this to the police, I'll kill you when I get out. They may save you the money, but they won't save your life. Most gentle sir, would you be so good as to send me $2,000 if your life is dear to you? I beg you warmly to put the money on your doorstep within 4 days. If not, I swear by this week's time, not even the dust of your family will exist. With the warmest regards, your friends.
Black Hand thugs would attend trials of members. Witnesses who were brave enough to show up in court quickly left after catching sight of Black Hand's silent signals. A finger across the throat, displaying a red handkerchief, a finger to the head, all meant one thing: testify and you die. With the rise of the Mafia families of New York, the murderous supremacy of the Black Hand Society faded. Criminal masterminds like Lucky Luciano or Meyer Lansky are often credited with the rapid growth of the American mob. But actually their success was due to a cast of killers who were the most proficient murderers in criminal history. They were employees of Murder Incorporated. One mobster stood at the top of the heap of the gunmen of Murder Incorporated. The man lived to kill and did it with a vengeance. The papers of the time dubbed Albert Anastasia the Lord High Executioner. Intensely loyal to Godfather Luciano, Anastasia was always ready to rub out a bum for Lucky.
Albert Anastasia was considered the worst killer of them all. He was the Lord High Executioner of Murder Incorporated. Luciano, I always thought Lucchese was a better killer than him. He could trust them more. He was cool. He followed orders, whereas, Anastasia was pretty much a Mad Hatter, and he would kill people that he shouldn't have killed.
Known to mobsters as a Mad Hatter, by the 1940s, Anastasia had graduated from the killing squad to head a mob family of his own. Even when Anastasia grew in power, heading up his own family, he couldn't rein in his killing instinct. When his fellow godfathers heard Anastasia talking about killing civilians and politicians, they decided the Mad Hatter was out of control and had to be put down. Anastasia was cut down in a hail of bullets in a New York barbershop. The four killers strolled away, vanishing into the New York crowd. The Mad Hatter would have called the murder a first-class hit on a real bum. One killer even surpassed the murderous wrath of Anastasia. Frank Abandando was called the Dasher. The Dasher was one of Murder Incorporated's most prolific of killers. Abandando was also a sexual sadist. After a day's work of killing, Abandando would relax by brutalizing young women.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
The Dasher thought he had nothing to fear when he took the stand at his murder trial in 1939.
Mr. Abandando, or do you prefer to be called Dasher?
The Dasher is what I go by.
Abandando had always beaten murder raps. Like most mob hitmen, he simply killed the witnesses.
Turning to the night in question, according to the testimony of Abe Rellis, you participated in the murder of George Rudnick, also known as Whitey. Is that correct, Mr. Dasher?
I don't know what you're talking about. You've had it, kid. Finished.
Your Honor, let the record show that the defendant has made a slashing mark across his throat while pointing at the witness. Badgering your client. He's on trial for murder.
Hey, I walk with you dead, Judge, and I will kill you slow and hard.
Counsel to have a seat and object in proper format. So, you know nothing about the murder then? Okay. Let's go to the night of October 22nd, shall we? A woman was gang raped repeatedly. You were there. You assaulted her. You bludgeoned a poor defenseless woman within an inch of her life, didn't you, sir?
Hey, I don't have to rape women. The Dasher gets any broad in the city he wants. They love me. They can't get enough of the Dasher.
Well, you know, the state is prepared to call that woman the woman whom you kidnapped, raped, and then disfigured. Do you recognize these, Dasher? I'm waiting for your answer, Mr. Abandando. Did you use these when you sexually brutalized that woman? Did you not stand by and watch as she was repeatedly gang raped? Did you not then violate her in the most sadistic manner possible?
I told you, the Dasher don't rape women. You wanna know about the Whitey hit? He was a bum. He was a loan shark. We protected him. He tried to beat us on a payment and he got hit.
There he is.
We spotted him. He spotted us. He took off like a jackrabbit. He runs into an empty garage. What an idiot. What did he expect?
No!
The wire around his neck, he was turning blue, moaning.
Have me get the blade. Come on! Wait, let me get him all again.
Can't you get anything right? Hit him right.
Whitey's brain started oozing out. He starts moaning. Now that's when he got the pick.
Hey, Dasher, get on some of this, will you?
Point sharp as a needle.
Get out of here!
Sometimes I ram it in, and sometimes just go in, just slow and easy.
His juice just started oozing out.
You think you stabbed him enough?
Then we whacked the bum with the axe. One for good luck, as we say.
No more questions.
Sometimes you've got people doing these hits that start to really enjoy it, and they just simply use this as an opportunity to act out their sadistic fantasies that were already there. So they figure it's a twofer. A, I'm getting paid to do it, and it needs to be done, and B, hey, I might as well enjoy it while I'm doing it. Brutality serves a number of different functions in these types of hits. If it's more or less a surgical hit, that suggests it's just about business, it's just about getting the job done. This person was in the way, or this person did something that they needed to be removed as an impediment to the group's business interests. So the more surgically it's done with the least amount of fanfare suggests that there wasn't some sort of personal slight involved. It was simply a matter of business. Remove this person so that the business can be conducted according to whoever ordered the hit thinks business should be operated. When you see overkill, it can mean a number of different issues. Number one, it can mean that there was some sort of severe slight that was perceived by the person that ordered the hit. Number two, it can mean that the person that ordered the hit wants to send a strong message to other people that might be affiliated with the victim so that they won't do the same things that that victim did.
And hits it with the meat cleaver right here. Best way to slice into the brain.
There's a lack of affect, an emotionless detachment, as they describe from a technological standpoint how they did it. And when you try to get them to access what, if any, emotion they felt, typically the only thing I've encountered with a couple of them has been an annoyance that they didn't die quietly, or that they sniveled or begged, and then they viewed that as being weak, and they looked down upon that. So typically, the reporting of past homicides is very detached, very cold, very matter of fact.
While he was in protective custody, Rellis ended up being thrown out the window of a Coney Island hotel. Rumor has it that Lucky Luciano paid $50,000 for the hit. But the enforcement division of the Mafia was seriously wounded due to the testimony of Kid Twist. The Dasher was electrocuted in Sing Sing. So were Pittsburgh Phil and Happy Morian. Even Godfather Louis Lepke took the long walk down death row. He was both the richest man and the highest-ranking mobster ever to be executed. With all the murder and torture the society has endured from Mafia killers, one can easily forget that most normal people tend to shun aggression and avoid hostility. In fact, military psychologists have noted that men entering combat are often more fearful of killing than being killed. This soldier reveals how a normal man can become a killing machine.
He was a guy off a farm in Iowa, and I was from the South. More than likely, we would have never been friends. But we were. He stepped on a mine, and we looked, and all we could find is what seemed like a wig. That's all we could put in the body bag. After that, I went on a vendetta. I used more ammo in the next 3 months than the entire time I was there. I even used napalm. Napalm was good for revenge. It would suck the air right out of your lungs. When an NVA soldier fired upon me, after I gave him the chance to surrender, I emptied everything I had into him. It got worse as time went by. I really enjoyed killing. Every time I killed, it felt better.
Under the extreme stress of combat, a killing instinct can emerge as ferocious as an animal's. Nature may be red with tooth and claw, but killing in the wild is mercifully swift. A snap of the neck, the savage rip through the jugular, and it's over. Animals exhibit none of the brutality that characterizes human killers. Animal behavior does offer clues to the violence and aggression that plagues human society. Animals share common survival instincts with man. The urges to mate, to fight or flee from aggression, dominate and kill for food, or to defend against an attack. The part of the brain where these basic emotions arise is the amygdala. In man, this region is often referred to as the reptilian brain. It is the oldest area of our brain. The massive frontal cortex area is unique to man. Surrounding the ancient reptilian brain, the frontal cortex is thought to be the seat of consciousness, of our self-awareness. This is why humans and not animals built civilizations, produced art, founded religion, and created law. The frontal cortex is also thought to prevent the outflow of our most primitive instincts. Advances in technology have enabled science to analyze the brains of murderers. What they are finding is a structure of frontal cortex is reduced in the brains of killers. It is theorized that diminished cortex cannot control the violent instincts of the reptilian brain center. This may result in an individual who possesses the mental faculties of a human, but with the instincts of a creature from the wild.
We now have the techniques to actually literally look inside the mind of a murderer, to actually look at their brains, look inside the skull, see what's happening here. Is the structure of this brain different in violent offenders? This is a very primitive reptilian brain center, so to speak. These brain centers are involved in generating emotions like aggression, fear, rage. Now, most of us feel aggressive many times during the day, but we don't lash out at people in a violent fashion. Why? Well, we have a well-functioning prefrontal cortex, and this part of the brain, the frontal cortex, is involved in regulating and controlling these deeper brain mechanisms that give rise to aggressive feelings. What we found is that the murderers as a group had much poorer functioning of this part of the brain compared to the normals. One significance of the prefrontal cortex is that it's quite likely to be involved at some level in conscience, the sort of feelings that make us not go out and rob a bank or kill someone or commit rape. And if you lack a conscience, you're much more likely to become a psychopath.
Psychopathy at different points in our history has had some survival value. When there was a lot of war, a lot of strife, a lot of fighting, these kinds of issues going on, the psychopath was the person that could engage in behavior that would ensure the survival of the group to a certain extent, to be able to kill, to be able to harm, to be able to manipulate. Those genes were going to get carried on to form the next generation of human beings. The problem is the person that was going to rise to the top, because they were not fettered by conscience, rise to the top of these criminal organizations that become our most vicious killers.
So it's possible. Violent crime and murder may be a waste product of our evolution. The killers of the underworld, perhaps they are nothing but the distorted reflection of the human race, the collective nightmare of mankind. I'm Robert Stack. Thanks for joining us.